Hold on, y'all. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, like the old time rock and roll. Miss K Good, that is a request that I will take. I love that song. Bob Seger is dope. I grew up on that stuff. But I grew up on Hendrix and stuff like that too. So Miles Davis and everything. Emerson Lake and Palmer, all that stuff. Sabbath, like, you know, the early, like their first stuff. Take that all I see the message on my button. Hey, ain't got to say so. I like that old time rock and roll. That's a fun song. Tom Sawyer? Yeah. Yo, I grew up on that stuff. I can play Rush backwards, forwards, upside down, sideways. I learned there first every album up to Signals. Um, Shoots and Ladders, I know some of their stuff, but by Signals, I was smashing everybody. I was like maybe 14 years old. The next year after that, I was playing in bars and clubs. Rush, like Neil Peart, vicariously taught me how to play drums. You know, I was a Rush nerd. I was the only black Rush nerd in my school. But the place where I grew up, it was cool. You know, actually, I wasn't. Actually, there was a bunch of black Rush nerds when I grew up. It was like I don't know, it was different. It was different. I'm blessed. Like I didn't have to deal with a lot of the racial stuff until like later on. The town I lived in, we had like Vietnamese, white, black, you know, Italian, Jewish, Irish, you know. Man, I grew up with mob kids. And we all like, literally accept. It was weird, man. And my friend Rodney Watkins, the black dude, he moved to the South and he came back. He said, "Yo, what's going on?" I said, "I'm about to move to the South." He said, "Man, it ain't like how we grew up." I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "You know how we're kind of like cool, like with everybody. It don't matter who you are." And well, he was like, that's actually what he said. Um, and I was like, "No, what do you mean?" He was like, "It's not the same, man. It's different." He said, "You'll see." And also my mom, who had been there before me. She told me the same thing. She said it flat out. She was like, it's different. She was like, it's racism down here. Like it's kind of old school, you know. I was like, all right. Now, things have gotten a lot better. You know, things have gotten a lot better. You know, I think a lot better than a lot of us kind of. I don't know. I think we take it for granted. You know, we take all our freedoms and liberties for granted. All of us do. You know. Ooh, Iron Maiden. Wait, 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 wait. I thought I saw something about Iron Maiden. Wait a minute. 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 Oh no, it ain't. No, it ain't. Somebody stole Eddie, the image of Eddie from Iron Maiden. I'm just gonna play. Waking my old arms up, trying to get the blood flowing. Flowing through the muscles. I'm surprised I made that. That just literally just bled out and vomited out. I whoa, that's weird. If I tried to do it, I couldn't do it. It just literally just happened. That's weird. That's what I'm trying to get to. You know what I mean? Jen, long time no see. Thank you. You know what? That's the that's the part of music I've always been chasing. Um, like I understood music before I understood language. I mean, I spoke, you know, but I first felt emotions through music, not from speech, you know. And and the concept of being exposed to Miles Davis and the whole concept of you know just improvisation. I thought music was played like that. You know, it wasn't until like I saw Van Halen and like I was like 13. I want to say they were at the Asbury Park. Uh, oh man, convention hall. Um, they opened up for Black Sabbath, and I saw like Sugar Ray Leonard over there, like boxing. They weren't fighting; it was like simulcast. But the Van Halen, this was before they were simulcasting. The Van Halen show, I got there from my cousin Vince Baycott. Never forget. Um, the tickets were like $10, $13, like something like that. They were like $13. Um, and I loved Sabbath, but I heard Van Halen one and didn't like it. So I was like, I'll go. I'm going for Sabbath. Man, I didn't like Van Halen one. I liked it after that show. I didn't understand it. It was so advanced. I didn't understand it. It went over my head. I was like, who in the world is a Van Halen? I was like, they look weird. Like they look weird. This looks like some. I was like, this looks like some weird corporate band. That's how my thinking was back then about music. This looks like some weird corporate band. That's back then. Now it's industry plants. Back then they called them corporate bands or corporate acts. They thought that they were saying for a lot of years the Eagles were a corporate act. You know, whether they were or they weren't, it don't matter. They were a great band. Who cares? They wrote great songs. They were a great band. They were just smart enough to get enough financial backing to pay all of those guys in the band a really good deal. So whatever, call it corporate, it worked for them. You know, but bro or whoever, yo, chat. It was so loud in the convention halls. It was around when Woodrow Wilson was like president. Those guys. So it was an old building. They was playing so loud, like some of the tiles were coming out the ceiling, man. It was wild. Like them drop ceiling tiles, they were coming out the ceiling. It was wild, bro. I was like, it took the air out of Sabbath set. I'd never seen Sabbath before. This was my first time. I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, Sabbath. After that, Sabbath, like that night, I felt like I was looking at history while I was watching Sabbath. I felt like I was looking at history. I was like, oh, they cool, but we on the new stuff. Van Halen now, like, it was wild, bro. lot of the stuff I do is like really simple, really, really simple. You know, it's it seems complicated, and also it's not just the speed that makes it complicated. It's like how you phrase things. You know. Sorry, I just got a text from my wife. But yeah, so whatever. That's the drawback to switching to lighter sticks. Heavier sticks, they just give you easy access to power. You know what I mean? Thank you. They just give you easy access to power. You can just whip out, uh, like marching drum licks. That's why marching drumsticks are heavy. You know what I mean? It's just it's easy. It's easy access to power. Light sticks are for jazz, but that's really for like gaining speed and finesse. You know what I mean? You gain power from heavy sticks. You gain speed and agility from light sticks. So you really got to use both. Actually, no, I don't. I wish I did. I mean, I mean, I'm sure I could learn that stuff like that. I learn stuff like that. Yeah, I came from like, you know, like we played everything from Flotsam and Jetsam, Exodus, Stormtroopers of Death, um, um, of course Metallica, Megadeth, you know, you know, it's like a lot of stuff. But then after a while, I just kind of, I don't know, I just became a session guy, and I had to learn how to be like kind of like the Swiss Army knife of drums. You know what I mean? So you got to learn a bunch of other stuff. Like I just learned how to play with pocket. Mm. Well, put it this way: when I moved down here to Atlanta, and I had been playing for 20 years, and it's because the music scene down here required it. You know, it required pocket, required polish, it required groove, and that was kind of easy because I have a jazz like kind of jazz fusiony, um, well, jazz and rock, just jazz and rock and fusion and art. We just had everything. We had everything from Santana to, you know, Pink Floyd to, we had everything. You know, so I'm not. I mean, I've heard Slipknot. I don't. I just don't listen. You know what I mean? I don't really listen to this stuff. I don't. You know, I just listen to different stuff. Like rock. You know, I love it, but at a certain point, it it required like I don't like playing the same thing over and over and over. I like to improvise, which is why I play in a lot of jazz setups. Because I like to improvise. Um, I can play the same thing, you know. I can play the same thing over and over and over. But it's hard to if you're on tour, it's hard to do the same thing over and over and over, night after night. And I didn't want to put myself in that situation. So you know, I focused on studio side, production, and studio work. You know. But I'm the thing about it is I'm bringing out the rock stuff, the rock symbols like this, rock hi hats, that because I'm actually I think the rock like they used to call me the Beast back in the day. That thing is coming back. You know what I mean? Um, so you know, I want to start something. I definitely want to start something. I'm waiting for a text from this dude. I'm gonna hit him up. I like the way he plays. You know, he's a guitarist, and he can play tastefully. He can improvise, and he got tone. You know what I mean? You know, he's like the rock guitar. He's like the fusion guitarists, or just guitarists, like Tommy Bolin. I don't know if y'all ever heard of Tommy Bolin. Tommy Bolin was a guitarist. He played with Joe Walsh in oh man, um can't remember the name of the band, but it was him. He was actually playing rock gigs and James Gang. When Joe Walsh was in James Gang, Tommy Bolin was a guitarist. He eventually left and became a trio. But in the original James Gang, it was Joe Walsh and with Tommy Bolin on lead, or they would alternate. And my man, he plays bass. He plays in the Yellow Jackets. He looks Native American, but he's Latino. But he has like I can't remember the guy's name. He plays bass. He plays left-handed bass upside down. He's an incredible jazz bassist, but he was the original bass player for James Gang. I can't remember who the drummer was. Um, but Tommy Bolin left, and he was a straight rock guy, and he fit right into the jazz scene back then. You know, and this like I like guitarists like that. That you know what I mean. That can shred like a rock guy, but improvise like a jazz guy. You know, because you got the best of both worlds. You know, Jimmy Page was like that. You know, Eddie Van Halen later on was like that as he started unveiling his genius, and that was kind of in him anyway. You know what I mean? That was kind of in Eddie Van Halen anyway. It's just he got comfortable and was able to spread his wings in the industry because they was just smashing everything. So, like Hendrix, same thing. This beat is fire. My mouth. Ooh,
Still, these very few items in no
sorry,
way
y'all.
detract
That
from
was
the
so loud.
extraordinary military might that the U.S. possesses.
Yeah,
And
who
many
me?
don't
Yeah.
understand why this nation
Ah.
has consistently been ranked number
Um,
one
I love
for
Tony Williams
overall
actually.
military power and
Um,
capability. All of this boils down to one vital question: how will the U.S.
that
use its military might in
changed
2020?
my
There's a whole barrage of
whole
ongoing
approach.
military operations that either involve
Um,
the U.S. directly or
hold
through
on.
international organizations like the United Nations, the UN, the European Union, EU, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. Here's a quick overview of the operations involving the U.S. in chronological order. Since
Like
2004,
you know,
the U.S. has been deploying
I
joint
listen to a lot of
strikes
Vinny,
against Islamist militant groups in the Middle
Tony,
and Northwest
Dennis,
Pakistan. Since
Billy
2010,
Cobham,
the same destiny has
Buddy
befallen
Rich,
Al-Qaeda,
Tony Williams,
al-Shabaab, and ISIS positions in Yemen,
Stuart Copeland,
resulting from the effort to combat the
Neil
outright
Peart,
insurgency in the country. In
Carl
2011,
Palmer,
U.S. troops were sent to
Max
Uganda as
Roach,
advisors to assist
Elvin
in the fight against
Jones,
the Lord's resistance
Roy
movement, the
Haynes,
LRA, and its leader,
um,
Joseph Kony. In 2014, the U.S. started interventions in Iraq
um,
and Syria, aiming to combat the Islamic
and then
State
for a
movement in
while,
Syria or ISIS. In
I was really getting
2021,
inspired by
the U.S.
musicians,
continued its intervention in
primarily
Somalia,
guitarists.
conducting airstrikes on
Um,
al-Shabaab militants.
a lot of
In
Alan Hallsworth because he
2023,
always had the best
Operation
drummers.
Prosperity
So then it was
Guard
guys like
launched
Chad,
in order to
Chad
counter further
Wackerman,
minority forces in the
Gary
Black Sea.
Husband,
Besides conducting
you know,
specific
guys like that.
operations, the
But
U.S.
even
uses
now, up
global
to
support
today, I
across
listen to
different
Ronald
alliances
Bruner,
to maintain regional stability,
Tony
provide
Royster,
security assistance to
Thomas
partner nations,
Pridgeon,
conduct joint training
uh,
exercises, or deter potential
Justin
adversaries.
Tyson,
So, as of 2024,
um,
the U.S. has over 100,000
Justin
service
Brown,
members in Europe, 30,000
um,
throughout the Middle East,
Nate Smith.
375,000 in the Indo-Pacific
I listen to a
region.
lot of stuff,
From these
you know,
numbers
Chris
and the ongoing
Dave,
military operations, it's easy to
um,
conclude where the U.S. stands on most
you know,
matters in terms of foreign
I listen to a
policy.
lot of stuff.
For instance, Europe
JD
received
Beck,
another
I listen to
20,000
JD
American
Beck.
soldiers after the
That
recent
album, well,
Ukraine
I
war
was,
began
I
in
was, I was
2022
biting his
to
stuff
enhance
from
its
like
military capability.
Instagram,
Similarly, the sheer number
you
of
know.
troops in the Indo-Pacific
And
region makes
that
it clear
album's
that
fire.
the
I
U.S.
can't, I don't know what kind of deal they got. They got a
prioritizes
sweet
over
deal
the
over
Indo-Pacific strategy,
under my
maintains
man
global
Anderson Paak. So
international
they got a
norms and
sweet deal.
principles
You know.
in the face of increasing assertiveness from countries like China. Did any of this information surprise you? For
That's a song called Moon by Domi and JD. The difference is JD's using two hands to do that ride thing. Whereas I didn't want to do it with two hands. I wanted to learn it with one hand. So I had to learn the whole push-pull thing. Oh, it's a little harder on this cymbal though, you know. But yeah, I had to use the push-pull because he does it like this.
and raise the standard to staggering heights. This is the inside
It's not mastered the way I want it. I want to get the double ride action with the one hand to the point where I'm comfortable
1999.
enough to, play as if I'm playing with two hands. Because then I can like freely improvise. But yeah, man, I've been working on that for a while. But, like I pretty much live stream every practice, so you see how many times I've practiced it. My overall ability has grown to the point where I can actually pull it off.
It's winter. There's nowhere to go. Thousands of people have been.
Yo, I know.
20% freshness from beat to toast.
Oh, thank you, man. But listen, there was a dude, man. He wanted to know if I knew how to play some Tony Williams. That was from
Never get caught empty.
his second album, Lifetime. That was Alan Hallsworth played guitar on that song. Actually, Alan Hallsworth wrote the song, and they put it on Tony Williams' album. They worked together a lot. So, that's what got me into Alan Hallsworth. You know, I'm like a frustrated guitarist. Tony Williams was a monster. That change of energy. Because the way he goes in is what Tony Williams, the drummer, does. He pushes that song so hard. He gives Alan Hallsworth a platform. That's why Alan Hallsworth always got the best drummers when he went out on his own. He was used to being pushed. He's like, I can't take stanky drummers. You know what I mean? So that stuff takes a lot. And I mean, if I play like that every day, that'll be nothing, you know. It comes right back to you. I still got it. I'm just tired, you know. But I'm trying to get back to that. I'm trying to start a band to get back to that.
The Air Force coming into the Vietnam War had been designed to be a nuclear force to shoot radar missiles at large bomber-sized targets in a nuclear war scenario. But the war over North Vietnam wasn't like that. The aircraft there were small fighter-sized targets, highly maneuverable at much lower altitudes.
Thank you, bro. I just man, I wear glasses, so I hope y'all don't.
Looks like the United States isn't just going to
Ah,
Vietnam.
come on,
It's going to
man.
use the Cold War too.
The U.S. Air Force knew
Y'all calling out these Metallica songs, bro. I gotta start learning Metallica. Y'all got me, man. I gotta start learning Metallica. I'm like, all right, I gotta start going back to rocking out. Well, actually, like I said, it's funny because I'm at that point where I just need to rock out, man. I don't know, man. I need to put in some get my rock chops back up. You know, like it's wild because with jazz,
wasn't sure what approach to take. What was the
you
the
can
ability to turn and
you can
burn,
you can finesse
over your opponent,
for a long time, like because you have to maintain power, you know. But there are guys like Virgil Donati. I call him the octopus from Australia. Dude is like he's like my age. Yeah, he's like my age. Virgil Donati's like my age, and he's like an octopus. Like he's like ridiculous. You know.
The Air Force reviews dozens of potential designs.
looks like no other fighter that came before it.
One of the key parts of the design.
Sometimes you gotta let it out and worry about cleaning it up later.
Essential to give the
Let it out, keep letting it out until it becomes easier.
so that he could
Then you can
see
clean it
the
up.
angle of attack by an enemy
You know.
fighter. You look up through that cockpit and you know that you are in a position to dominate
Um,
the whole sky around you.
Bill Stewart. If you check out Bill Stewart, he plays open grip jazz. There are a couple guys. I'm trying to think of this guy. He's Roy Haynes' grandson. He plays open-handed sometimes. Justin Brown plays open-handed sometimes. What I'm playing right now is fusion.
Pilot can't see with
I'm
his
not playing jazz.
He can use the F-15's
When I'm playing jazz, like just straight up, straight ahead jazz, like I'm playing in a jazz club, like there's a spot around the corner I hit
revolutionary new radar.
the
is
Velvet
so
Note.
powerful that it
That's different.
fighters way beyond the pilot's visual range.
I'm just playing with rock energy and adding jazz chops to it.
Possible to take what pilots now call a BVR shot. What that meant essentially was that the pilot could detect
This is jazz.
the incoming enemy fighter, line up a shot,
That's actually a Roy. That's a Miles Davis tune.
Gain
Ba, 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 da, ba, da, ba, bo, 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 bo. Ba, 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 da, ba, da, ba, da, ba, ba, ba. Ba, da, ba, bo, ba, ba, da, do. Ba, da, goo, doo, doo, goo, doo, 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 da, 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 da. Ba, da, doo, da, da, da. Goo, doo, 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 ba, ba, doo, ba, 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 ba. Ba-da-ba-boom, ba-boom. Wow. I'm used to an organ trio. There's Joey DeFrancisco. Him and I can't remember the drummer's name. It's an Italian guy. They do a smoking version of that song. Woo! And Borelli LeGrin. If you're a guitar player, look up Borelli LeGrin. He's like he lived on the French and like Belgian, like he lived on the border. So he was a kid, man, and he would hit the bars at clubs. He was like 11, hitting the bars at clubs. This dude was like insane, bro. You know, like he's another guy that inspired me. Borelli LeGrin, guys like Alan Hallsworth, Eddie Van Halen, Borelli LeGrin, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. What's his name? Jakey Lee, Randy Rhoads, you know. That's like I look to guitarists for, you know, for how they, you know, the way they approach melodically. I don't know, my brain, like I translate that into drums. I don't know how, don't ask me because I don't even know, but I translate that into drums. That's why I know a lot of guitarists or like saxophonists or like, you know, I know the basic drum stuff, but I learned that stuff to learn other stuff, you know, and translate that stuff instrumentally into the drums, you know.
Anyone who flew or saw
We've always had quite a relationship with the Israeli Air Force where we've traded knowledge of airplanes and tactics. When they saw the F-15, they wanted the F-15 for obvious reasons.
By June 27th, 1979, the Israelis operate 25 of the new American jets.
Yeah, so,
The new weapon
but
just in time.
the thing about it is, so yeah, I like this guy, Daniel Hardy.
A few minutes before
Yeah, he notices stuff.
4 Syrian
Yeah.
MiG-21 zoomed towards Israeli airspace.
I can play to both. It doesn't matter.
The Israelis detected
Um,
and alert 4 F-15s that
I,
have
you know,
already
I can just. My main weakness was having solid time, so I spent years working on a metronome to like iron out the kinks in my time. But in doing that, I've done it for so long that I can literally just, I don't need a click. I could just play along to it, and it's like, like right on there. It's just, and it's not special. It's just you keep doing something over and over and over, and it just gets better. You know what I mean? It's inevitable. Like, and that's like, like
It was in a distance of
I
about
had the only thing I had
25
different
miles, and we got
than
permission to
the
fire.
average drummer
To determine when
is,
and where to fire,
well,
Melnick relies
I'll
on
say
the
this.
F-15's heads-up display.
I have ADHD and I know how to hyper
The
focus.
heads-up display
And
is a
like
piece of transparent glass
um
located on
I
top of
hyper
the pilot's
focus,
instrument
you
panel.
know? And
Airspeed,
now where it's
altitude,
helped me
targets.
is
They're all displayed right in front
I
of the
hyper
pilot's
focus
eyes.
so much on drums
Controls that you needed to do
that
were on the stick and the throttles, so you never have to take
I
your
ended
hands
up
off
playing
the
drums
vehicle
kind of
while you're dogfighting.
because I had to
Even
keep
your
up a
fingers.
lie. You want to keep it real. I had to keep up a lie. Well, you know what? I don't know if there's any feedback. Let me back up.
This is Moshe Melnick's
But
actual video.
I was keeping up a lie.
Melnick launches
I wanted to be
the
cool.
missiles.
I used to look like Steve Urkel, except I had like real bad
Now the
skin.
MiGs are on high alert.
So I always loved rock and roll,
Were turning
and I was playing guitar at the time.
turn to the north
Um,
because they
but
seen the missile.
a friend of
That's how
mine,
you protect
this
against
dude,
the missiles. So the
can't remember
was
Charlie Mallet. It was over at Charlie Mallet's house. Charlie played bass, Darren Rourke played guitar. He later went to bass and became a smoking bassist. And Ronnie Kakamazadi was the drummer. He had this big old Ludwig kit. It wasn't big. It looked big back then. It's about what I got right now. And they were playing Zeppelin covers, and I wanted to be cool. So, I was already cool. It was weird, But I was like, I could play drums, and they were like, yeah, you can play drums? I was like, yeah, I can play drums. So then I had to teach myself how to play drums to keep up the lie. And I remember walking home from school. I was 13 years old. Like after that, I remember that was like in the summertime. Then going to school, I remember walking home because like people like so many people they were playing guitars or playing basses or playing pianos. It was different, you know what I mean? So there was nothing for you to see a drum set like that somebody's throwing out. Man, I'll grab that stuff and take it home, bro. Or like a kick drum with the tom on it. Man, I'll take that stuff home and I'll piece together a drum set. But and then after that, that's just I had to teach myself how to play drum. So I started off playing like Rush, really Rush. But I was already into like Emerson, Lake and Palmer, so I knew about Carl Palmer. You know, I went from brain salad surgery. Now I'm going back with y'all. Brain salad surgery, trilogy, Tarkus. I learned all that stuff straight up. All that I learned like Close to the Edge by Yes, Yes Songs by Yes, Fragile by Yes. Man, I learned Man, House of the Kings and Crimson King. I learned that. I learned Rush from when they had that first album when they had that bum drummer John Rutsey. Sorry, bro, but you was a bum. All the way up to Signals. That's about 12 albums. Even the live ones. I even learned the Rush bootlegs because they were on vinyl. And used to go to record stores and they would have the bootlegs. Somehow people would like record their shows. It was a board mix, and they would burn it to a plate. They would have the recordings, and then they would take it to a place where you press the record, and they would put it to acetate. They put it to a plate, and they would sell them to record stores. So you could go buy bootlegs of Rush in like Seattle, live in Seattle and stuff like crazy stuff. Rush live in like London and stuff like that. Crazy stuff. Or like Sabbath in Dusseldorf, Germany. Or like you would hear songs that they played live and never recorded. Like crazy stuff like that, man. You know what I mean? But I started just buying all kinds of bootlegs and just learning all. I would learn if you were an artist back then and I was a fan, I would learn your whole catalog and your bootlegs. Straight up. I'll learn your whole catalog and your bootlegs. And if you had some I would track it down. and learn it,
Actually,
note for note,
and
note for note.
its abilities.
But I got
in
ADHD. I
combat.
hyper focus. You know what I mean?
The
I
mission
hyper
came
focus.
for so
And I
long,
just use it as a
now that
superpower.
Vietnam
And I got
is
good at
right
that.
on top of
And
it.
then I just applied that to other places in my life. You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
For the
man.
next 5 years, Melnick and the other Israeli pilots go on to use every single weapon in the F-15's arsenal.
Oh, no, listen, man.
Over 6
There's a story
years.
about that. Um, this is crazy because it's like blasting in my ears and it's killing me. Okay, there we go. But the book Stick Control, bro. Let me tilt this, man. I don't want to be able to, you know. But yeah, man, the book Stick Control. For years, I lived by that book. Um, that book, man. I like that. There's three books: Syncopation, Stick Control. Well, really, you could just do those two right there: Syncopation and Stick Control. Oh, the New Breed. That's another one because it like you got to learn how to play. You got to learn how to play ambidextrous. If you don't know how to play ambidextrous, get that book, and it teaches you how. And it's Gary. I can't remember his name, but he was a studio drummer. No, he was. Yeah, he was a studio drummer. I don't know if he was a drummer, but he was like, look, man. He predicted guys being like ambidextrous, playing, open-handed, as well as just regular. I guess it's called whatever cross-handed. He predicted it years before it actually came out. But he had a book called The New Breed. Gary Chester, that's his name. I actually got the book right over there. But um, I was homeless, man, for about a little over 10 years. And the only thing I had the same pair of pants. Then I would steal clothes from time to time. But I had the same book bag for like 10 or 12 years. Well, the pants would change. I would steal clothes from people's lines and stuff like that. But um, I had the same book bag. I had a Bible in there. I had a pair of drumsticks. I had a book, Stick Control. And I knew the life I'm living now, I was gonna be living this life now. I knew it. You know what I mean? It was like I don't know what you believe, but God told me I was going. And I went through a lot of. I went through a lot, man. I went through, you know, like when I say homeless, like I was living in New Jersey, and them Northeast winters are crazy. You know what I mean? So there was nights I was like, walking around all night because I knew if I went to sleep, I'd die of hypothermia. And then find a nice spot. I used to sleep under the boardwalk in Jersey. All that stuff, man. And my life just changed. You know, but God was telling me the whole time, this is not, like I didn't know how things were gonna change, but I knew things were gonna change, and all of a sudden, just boop, they just changed. It was crazy. You know what I mean? Um, I'm gonna write a book about it. Like I know I'm a miracle. Straight up, I'm a miracle. Like I should not be here. I know a lot of people because I was kind of like in my town, like as far as like I was always that dude. Like I used to do BMX freestyle. I had a half pipe in my backyard. I was that dude. I was like the dopest dude. You know, and I look back on it now. It was hyper focusing because I wanted people to like me. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, I just love I just love music. Really, my first love is comedy. If you really want to be honest, but you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, man. Yo, this right here, like I'm so obsessed with music and with drums and what have you. I feel guilty about it, and I know people in the industry, and they straight up like were like, and they knew about me and what have you, and they were like, you should just, you know, like one of them straight up was like, man, if God put that in you, bro, you should do it. Like you should do it. You should do it. And then I heard it from dudes who were in the industry, and I heard it from people in my church. That's what really got me. They was like, cause I didn't like gospel music. I love it now, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I have an appreciation for it now. Like I said, I love it. It's changed my life. But you know, they asked me how come I ain't in the church. Man, I was like, I don't like gospel music. I like the message, but the rest is just blah blah. And they was like, well, you don't gotta play in church. You just gotta play. And it was another dude. We had the same conversation. He was like, "Yo, man, how come I never heard about your background in music? How come you not doing stuff in music?" And I told him the same thing. I don't like gospel music. He was like, "But they need God in clubs and bars too. Like your profession is musician. You know, that's your trade. And there's scriptures in the Bible that talk about that. Like if you're a singer, don't quit. Cause I'm a Christian now. No, keep singing. You know, if you're a boxer, oh, I'm a Christian now. So no, you're a pugilist. That's your job. No offense. I get paid to beat people up. It's a job. You know what I mean? It's nothing personal. And guess what? They feel the same way. So as a Christian, you shouldn't have to quit because I'm a Christian. No, no, no. Now, if you're a stripper, that's a little different. You know what I mean? But you know, you know, like I try to tell people that, man. Like the people I came up with, the Christians I came up with, they were like, no, no, God doesn't want to change you. God wants you to be who. One of these dudes, he was the preacher. He was like, look, man, I understand you're like you don't want. Because I told him, I said, man, I obsess over music. He said, man, look, if it becomes an idol, God will let you know. But in the meantime, you need to use it. I was like, whoa, yeah. So and that kind of helped my heart because it's hard to kind of balance that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, well, you know what, man, I it made me who I am. I'm a lot more compassionate. I don't regret it. I regret that I have to learn things the hard way, but I've always wanted wisdom. And that is called 10 years of expensive wisdom. If I didn't experience that, there's a lot of things I couldn't really understand. Like, you know what I mean? You know, like for instance, I've been homeless. So when people ask me about the homeless issue, the homeless problem, you know, they feel comfortable telling me. Now, I'm not gonna, you know, I think it's a complex answer. I think there are situations where people need to just get up and go to work. But I also think there are a lot of situations where people are mentally ill, they're addicted, because I was addicted. They were fleeing from abusive situations. My wife, she treats people like that. So um, there should be services for that because in those cases, there's no race. Like I've seen Asians homeless, white people, black. You see a lot of white people because it's just numerically there's more. You know what I mean? But you really see at all races. It doesn't really matter. Like there's a lady up the street. She, if not for her children, she's living with her children. She would be on the streets. You know, and she's they're Indian. So it mental health and like abuse and all that stuff and addiction knows no race. And but at the same time, fool, you lazy. Like there's a couple dudes, there's dudes out there. You be like, come on, bro, you just don't want to work. That's all that is. You just don't want to work. What you talking about, Willis? I'm sorry, I'm aging myself, but you like, come on, bro, you lazy, bro. You just don't want to work, bro. I don't want like, dudes, it's a hustle, man. You know what I mean? Um, like, and I had dudes come up to me, and I'm like, man, cause my thing is, if I give you money, My responsibility's gone. You do with it what you want. Now I'm not gonna keep you. I'm not the banker marketing mark on drums. No, I got responsibilities. But I gave you $5 or $10. Well, what you do after that? That's on you, man. That's on you. I can't really. It's sad. I'm just like, God bless you, bro. It's 20. You know. But so it's a complex situation, man. There's homeless kids, man. This is what me and my wife used to do when we were dating. You know, this might be a little too much, but it is what it is. When we were dating, we saved ourselves for marriage, and we would do these like, special dates. You know, where we would volunteer at. I had some friends that I knew. I knew people that knew people. Put it that way. I knew people that knew people, and they got a situation where it was moms with multiple kids who were homeless. It's a big old house. I'm not gonna say who it is because it's paid indoors. Whatever. I don't want nobody. Whatever. Um, but it was a big old house, and it was cool. You know, and we used to go there. We'd meet up at 5 Points, take another bus, and boom, it would drop us off right across the street. You know what I mean? It was dope. You know, it was fire. You know, because I was like, I'm a very giving person. Like, that's why, I don't, you know, I try to make things as simple as possible, like on here, so people could kind of understand. You know what I mean? Like, I try to, you know, try to make things easy. You know what I mean? Like, I try to show people this. You know what I mean? If they, if they, how did you do that cross sticking, whatever? I mean, knowledge is like it's not meant to be held and stored away. And the more you give out, the more you get. That's just how the universe works. The more you give out, the more comes back to you. You know what I mean? And it just flows. You know. And I mean I've seen that. I'm living proof of that. All right, chat. I'm out of here.